My name is Zeke Saukel, and this is my final presentation for EVSP498, Senior Seminar in Environmental Science. My presentation is on Lincoln Bramwell's book, Wilder Burbs, Communities on Nature's Edge. The contents of this presentation are the background of the book itself, the background of the author, who he is and where he was educated, the time period in which the book was written, and the influences the book had on environmental science and what its chapters contain. Wilder Burbs was published in 2014 by the University of Washington Press. Lincoln Bramwell decided to write this book due to his time fighting fires out west with the U.S. Forest Service. Lincoln Bramwell is currently serving as the Chief Historian for the U.S. Forest Service. He earned his Bachelor of Arts in History in 1996, he earned his Master of Arts in 2000, and he earned his Ph.D. in 2007. The now popular Wilder Burbs phenomenon studies the growth in the American West and rural areas, the first developments of which started in the 1950s when developers turned from suburban sprawl projects to capitalize on the landscape features of the West. By 2000, U.S. Census revealed Wilder Burbs occupied 15 times the area of higher density settlements, and between 1992 and 1997, the rate of annual forest conservation to development accelerated from 600,000 to more than 1 million acres per year. Chapter 1 of the book, Bramwell explains how the 1915 Term Permit Act was very important for the beginning of these developments. He explains how the act allowed private landowners to be protected as the government acquired land. A good example of this is the community of Foresta in Yosemite National Park. Mark Bronson of Utah State University and the Society of American Foresters addressed this issue as well in his article published in the Journal of Forestry in 2016 titled, "The Paradox of Living in the Woods." In the article, he explains that Americans have always had a push-pull relationship with nature, that even as the pioneers tamed land, they celebrated its wildness. Brunson agrees with Bramwell and praises his use of the Berlin Ranchettes and the Paco communities of Albuquerque as examples of these Wilder Burbs. In Chapter 2, Lincoln Bramwell explains issues with simple water procurement. Rainfall is scarce and unpredictable in the mountains where the Wilder Burbs were being built. Colorado's Berlin Ranchettes are a good example of when water procurement was placed on the homeowners. A nonprofit organization called the Environmental Defense Fund has a threefold strategy to reverse the water issues in the West. They recognize that only 5% of California's fresh water is above ground, and they plan to streamline the bogged California water rights market, reward sustainable agricultural practices, and reverse groundwater depletion by limiting excess water use during droughts. In Chapter 3, Bramwell addresses the issues of developments being built in wildland fire areas. If homeowners are to build in wildfire-prone regions, they must be prepared and well-informed. Jacobs and Kramer of Ecology and Society believe the government is not doing enough to educate homeowners to the potentials of wildfires. Charles Anton and Carmen Lawrence did a study in 2014 on whether place attachment predicted wildfire preparedness and mitigation. They did find that some 19% of participants wait until told to evacuate to leave their homes in the event of a wildfire. Christine Olson and other scientists with the USDA Forest Service found similar results and found that while 21% of homeowners overestimate the danger of wildfires, that perception drops exponentially after completing mitigation methods. In addition, Joe Scott and a group of researchers with the Rocky Mountain Research Station found that a co-management strategy for efficient mitigation of wildfires between homeowners and land management agencies was the best way to fight this issue. They utilized different models of wildfire simulators to find that the U.S. Forest Service controlled burn fires reduced home exposure by 41%. And finally, in Chapter 4, Bramwell discusses the potential for danger and disruption of animal behavior when humans live so close to the wilderness. Lincoln Bramwell published this detailed book from a ground view of the problem. This allowed readers and potential policymakers to see things from a different point of view. The Emeritus Professor of Urban Studies and Planning at Portland State University, Carl Abbott, declared how important it is to study the ideas brought up by Bramwell. He agrees with Bramwell that wildfires are going to increase as a problem and that forest managers need to solve this problem, whether through public education or changing wildfire policies. And finally, these are my references. Thank you.